first semester of 2021 spring town hall. We have lots of things for you tonight, all about deadlines and scholarships and opportunities, but we are going to start with our department head. Dr. Linda Mosier is going to welcome us and get us going tonight.
Thanks, Lori. Hi, I'm Linda Trin-Moser, and I'm the interim department head of English, and I thank you for being here today. It's a very casual town hall, and so I hope that you feel comfortable asking any questions you have for us, and there's a feature on the bottom of the screen that says Q&A, and that is where you're going to click and just ask a question, and we have our great colleague Jen Mervin, who is monitoring the Q&A. The other thing that I would ask you to do is, if you are interested in being entered into a contest for some English swag, so t-shirts, sweatshirts, pens, stickers, mugs, if you're interested in entering in to get any of that, please type your name in the Q&A, even if you don't have a question. If you have a question, you'll automatically be entered. But if you don't have a question and just want to type your name, we'll be going through that and pulling 5 or 6 people to receive some swag. So thank you for being with us. You are our world, and we are happy that you're here. We know it's been strange times, and yet we feel as if we have embarked upon and we are moving through something together, and we're getting through it. And so thanks for being here. I'm going to start off by noting some important coming events for this semester. And so we have 2 conferences coming up, and later on, Dr. Lania Lamoria and Dr. Rhonda Stanton will tell you more about that. And I'm just going to talk about our Moon City virtual reading series, which is something that we do annually, and we have moved to offering it online. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I pick the right screen. So can you see, is everybody seeing the screen now? Okay, so our reading series includes writers. They're guest readers, they're winners of the Moon City Press Awards, and they're also our very own highly talented creative writing students. And so coming up pretty quickly is Disha Filya, and we actually feel kind of, in some ways, meeting and doing our reading series virtually allows us to have a wide variety of readers. And so Disha actually is just a recent finalist for the National Book Award. And so we are happy that she is going to do a reading for us. And her book is called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies. And so so I'm excited about her reading, and that one's coming up, and I hope you'll join us for that and spread the news. And then our other readers are a couple of poets, another fiction writer. Tara Isabel Zambrano is a flash fiction writer. Nancy Chen Long and Brett Shepard are both poets. And you'll also see our student invitational is the end of March. And then we have our graduate thesis readers who will be reading at the end of April. So I hope you join us for that. So thanks, that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mosier. Before we get started too much further, we want to take an opportunity for a welcome to several students we are really excited to have with us, and Dr. Rhonda Stanton is going to take care of that.
Thank you. Exit full screen, and I'll get my notes in front of me. We have some special students from different nations with us in the English department as graduate assistants. Abantika Dar is from Bangladesh, and she's part of our TESOL program. I began exchanging emails with Abanti back in October of 2019. She has a passion for learning more about pedagogy, and she completed an MA in English Language and Literature from the Asian University of Bangladesh. She's interested in influences of culture on teaching and learning English language at a tertiary level. So she is crazy smart and very nice. I haven't met with her in person yet. I've only visited with her on Zoom and via email. Dina Denevska is from the Republic of North Macedonia, and she's also in our TESOL program. She has a bachelor's degree in English language and literature, and she learned about MSU from an online search. She has the goal of being an English teacher in the future. And so thank you, Dina, for choosing Missouri State. We're happy that you are here. Fatima Tahari is from Iran. She's actually one of my people this semester. She's going to work with me as a GA as part of her assignment. And she and I started exchanging emails back in September of 2019. And she learned about Missouri State's program from our own website, and she's in the TESOL program. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in English and a master's degree in English language teaching. So welcome to them. We also have another student from China, Jaeyoung Son. She has been on Missouri State's campus. She's from Qingdao University, and she was with us back in the fall of 2018. COVID has kept her away for now, but we're still communicating with her. We were really happy that these students were interested in beginning their coursework last semester with us. And we have a general scholarship fund that was able to help them take some classes in the fall when they weren't able to travel here. But we're happy now to have 3 of them. And so when you see them, if you get to see them, welcome them. I know they're happy to be here.
And we're happy to have them. Thank you, Dr. Stanton, and welcome to everyone. Next, we're going to talk with Dr. Judith John about the good stuff, the money and the scholarships. So she's going to share some information on deadlines and such.
Well, there's really only one deadline for scholarship application that applies to foundation scholarships, and those are the ones the English department can award. March 1st, all of those applications have to be turned in. The financial aid website turns off the site, and nothing can be done if you haven't gotten it turned in by then. So that needs to happen. The scholarship application is lengthy, but don't skip over parts of it. I mean, they have separate sections for every college and every department in every college. No, you don't have to fill out the ones for the business and theater and math and those. I didn't mean that. But the first part, there are lots of questions, and I've seen lots of applications where people skip over those questions. And that's almost always a mistake, because scholarships are very, very specific, and financial aid and the foundation will not let you fudge on those specifics. For example, if somebody has a 4.0 and somebody else has a 3.2, but the scholarship says preference is given to somebody from Southwest Missouri, then if the 3.2 student has lived in Southwest Missouri all their lives, they will get the scholarship over the 4.0 from St. Louis. So they're very, very specific about who these scholarships can go to. And sometimes we can't give them to anybody. There's one that says you have to be a literature major and a journalism minor. And for years, we couldn't give that out at all. Well, now that there's a literature BS, you can do a literature BS and a journalism minor BS, and now that scholarship can be filled again. It can get very, very tricky. That scholarship, by the way, has thousands of dollars in it because we keep running into trouble giving it out. And so I went through the application today. Don't overlook things. Gender's important in some scholarships. Ethnicity is important in some scholarships, so don't skip over things. Some scholarships insist you have letters of recommendation. Lots of people who are already in the program skip those. Well, if we don't get somebody with a letter of recommendation, we can't give the scholarship. So please don't skip those things. You have to write about what you love. You start writing me a an essay on how much you love the theater, I probably won't give you an English department scholarship. And so you need to think about those things as you fill out that application. And don't put it off till March the 1st, because it takes a lot of work to fill one of these out. We have lots of scholarships available, lots of money available, but we can't always give them out. And please remember, if the scholarship is need-based, financial aid determines need. You can't tell me you need it, and I can't say, oh, well, if she needs it, let's give it to her. No, financial aid has to say you need it. So that's a whole nother ball of wax that we can't do anything about. Okay, if you have any questions about the application or any of this, let me know. I'll be glad to help you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. John. Dr. Judith John, please contact if you have questions. Ultimately, it sounds like there's money to get. So March 1st, and fill out everything you see, every check every box, right? Perfect. Well, now we are going to talk about other kinds of applications, and that's to our graduate programs. We'll go back to Dr. Stanton, our Director of Graduate Studies. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Sure.
Yeah, graduate school applications. You can learn about what programs we have just by going to the English department website. The graduate programs are all listed in the left-hand navigation bar. If you click on any of them, you can see a link at the top of the page. And if you mouse over it, it turns bright red and it says how to apply to graduate programs in the English department. It's on every program page. So you can learn about admission and program requirements for each. There are instructions. We do not have deadlines as far as graduate school applications. We keep those rolling all the time. However, graduate assistant applications need to be in. Those are due by March the 1st to be considered for the fall 2021 semester. There is a link in the there's application forms. You can learn about those on the English department website. You can also learn about those in the graduate college website. And if you go to the graduate college and you click on future students, graduate assistantships are in the left-hand navigation bar on that page as well. If you're already a graduate student, we have all kinds of deadlines this semester. There is a graduate studies calendar in Blackboard. Graduate students have their own Blackboard community site. If you are not sure where that is, please email me and let me show it to you, but it's in your community pages. I talked to someone just this week that's getting ready for comprehensive exams, and he was not aware of this web page, the Blackboard page. So please make sure you know about the Blackboard site. There are resources for your program in this link. There are deadlines about applying for graduation. There's information and helps about applying to take your comprehensive exams. There's even a video from a panel discussion last semester that was held by faculty that tells you how to be successful with your comprehensive exams. There's reading lists for comprehensive exams. I should already have the list of everyone who plans to take comps. That date this semester is March the 26th. Also, we have an essay submission coming up due on March 1st, is the submission for the Hennigan Award. This is the best critical essay by an English graduate student, and the winning writer will receive an award of $200 and will be invited to read the paper, part of the paper, to faculty and fellow students later in the semester. March is going to be advising season, so make sure that you're making appointments, receiving emails, making appointments from your advisor, or contact them if you don't hear from them first. I think that's everything at this point. Comps are on March 26th, but you should already have that application in. I'm your contact for any questions about our graduate programs.
Thank you, Dr. Stanton. Lots of information. We are also going to talk about opportunities for you to present as an undergraduate student in two of our conferences that are within our department. We'll start with the Undergraduate Literature Conference with Dr. Lamoria, and then Dr. Stanton will tell us about the conference with STC with Technical Communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So
Sure.
the first thing I want to tell people about are 2 due dates, and then I'll explain what they're for. So the first date is the date of the Undergraduate Literature Conference, and that will be April 16th and 17th this year. So that's a Friday and Saturday. The second date I want you to make note of is February 26th. That's a Friday, and that will be the deadline for submissions. Okay, so what is the Undergraduate Literature Conference? It's an annual event that we hold every spring that gives undergraduates an opportunity to present their research in a public forum. It's open to MSU students and students from across the region. So if you're an undergraduate who's written a paper that examines a work of literature or a cultural text, and by that I mean like a film or a television series or video game, we want to encourage you to submit your work. And I'll say a little bit about how to submit in just a moment. So what's the benefit of presenting at a conference like the ULC? So it's going to let you share your ideas with a broader community. If you're selected to present, you'll get some help preparing your paper. And then on the day of the conference, either in person or via Zoom, we're offering both options. You're going to read your paper out loud before an audience that's going to include peers, faculty, and community members. And then at the end of the presentation, you're going to receive questions and feedback that will help you develop your project. So there's an academic kind of benefit to the conference. There's also a professional benefit. Lots of different professional fields make use of conferencing, and the ULC will allow you to develop some of those conferencing skills. So if you're interested in applying, how do you apply to present? Everybody should have received from the English department an email, all the undergraduates, I should say, should have received an email yesterday morning that says the subject heading is apply to the ULC. And there's a submission form attached to that email that you fill out and send to me. You don't have to submit a whole paper. You just answer the questions in the form. You can also go to our website, and I will go ahead and type that in probably to the question and answer bar in a couple minutes. But our website is missouristate.edu/ULC. And we also have a Facebook page, and both of those pages include information and the submission form, which you can send to me. Again, the deadline is February 26th. You can feel free to email me with questions. And I do want to encourage you, even if you don't submit, to think about attending in April. You'll get to hear your peers give great papers. And one exciting feature of this year's conference is that our keynote address is going to be delivered by Dr. Tom Sarmiento of Kansas State University. And he specializes in Asian American and queer literature and culture. And he is published on the TV show Glee. Kind of exciting. Okay, so thanks so much. And again, if you have questions about the Undergraduate Literature Conference, feel free to contact me.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Stamp.
Society for Technical Communication, we have a student chapter on campus, and we are preparing to have a virtual conference. It'll be virtual only on April the 24th. That's going to be a Saturday. Maria Maluso is the president of our organization this semester, and she's helping me plan that. We have secured our keynote speaker, who is Kirk St. Amant, who is a prolific researcher and publisher in the field of TechCom, and he's very well respected. We're also going to bring in other speakers who are working in the field of technical communication, so attendees can get an idea of how they can use their training and their major at the university level and take that out into the world and make money doing whatever it is they want to do with their degree in TechCom.
Excellent. Thank you both for sharing those opportunities. And speaking of Maria Maluso, she is going to share with us her information on submitting to Logos, where she is the student editor, and that's our journal for undergraduate research. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. So like Dr. Rogers said, my name is Maria. I am the graduate assistant over at the Honors College and the managing editor for Logos, which is our journal of undergraduate research. We're a double-blind research journal, so we adhere to the same standards of review that any other professional research journal would. Our content is all EBSCO searchable, and so our student authors have the unique opportunity to already enter the academic conversation in their field as an undergraduate. Our authors, according to Google Analytics, the last time we checked, have been cited over 80 times in other published research. So they really are making contributions. The English department has always been really well represented for student authors, and we are currently in the process of accepting submissions for volume 14. So submissions have to have been created for an undergraduate class at Missouri State by a degree-seeking student. But even if you are a graduate student now, you can submit work that you created for an undergraduate class as long as it was at Missouri State. It is exclusive to Missouri State students, which is really an interesting and kind of nice feature for our students, because we do get inquiries from other students across the nation wanting to submit to our journal. You're welcome to submit as many papers or projects from as many disciplines as you'd prefer. We ask that you do not have simultaneous submissions, so we have to be the only journal you are currently seeking publication with at the time for that piece. Our honors community serve as peer reviewers, associate editors, and they will look at the writing, and then faculty reviewers will look at the information for accuracy and for contribution to the field. You'll receive feedback on your work even if you are not accepted for publication, which is a really nice little service, so we can help you revise and maybe submit again for a possible publication later. So if you're interested, our submission deadline is April 2nd of 2021. We do accept submissions on a rolling basis, so if you miss that deadline, you'll be considered just for volume 15 instead. If you're looking for copies of Logos from the past, if you're interested in seeing what we accept, because we will take everything, creative writing, artwork, and research. But if you're interested in sort of seeing what we've accepted and what's been published, you can go to our website. That's missouristate.edu/logos, and that is under the Publish tab. We'll be switching over to Bearworks very soon, and hopefully it will make it a little more user-friendly. You can also download them from EBSCOhost. We have physical copies available in the Honors College office. And as far as getting information about submitting, you'll submit everything via email, but you'll want to check out our submission guidelines. It's the same website under the Submit tab. If you have questions about this, if you need help walking through the process, I'm always available and happy to assist you. You can email logos@missouristate.edu. That is, you'll reach me directly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And just a reminder, the deadline is April 2nd.
Yes.
Was that right? And can graduate students submit their undergraduate work?
Yes.
I can. Okay, I just wasn't clear on that. Thank you so much, Maria.
Absolutely.
And the last thing we're going to share before we just get into a question and answer session, if you have any, is Valerie Turner, who is our Arts and Letters representative in the Career Center, is going to talk with you about internship opportunities and graduation deadlines.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me to come to this. I want to reassure everyone that yes, there are jobs out there, and indicators are that the next several months will be a time of growth. It does show growth, but as you know, with the economy as it is, that could change almost on a weekly basis. It depends on the pandemic, the vaccines going out, economic recovery programs, there's just so many variables, but it does look favorable. A lot of employers have switched to remote positions. Some have switched to remote temporarily when they advertise their openings. A lot of employers who hire interns have switched to remote internships for many of them. Unfortunately, last summer, a lot of employers postponed their internships, but I think that they're adjusting better now that they've had to do this for so long. And they want to keep the process as normalized as it can possibly be. And when doing the job search, a few points that I want to make is it's difficult. It's not an easy process. And especially if you want it to be effective. And it needs to be well planned. It needs to be, a lot of time and effort devoted to it. And many people are kind of shocked when they realize how long it takes. Statistics are that the average job search takes approximately 6 months. And that's kind of a, wake up call for many people. It's less than that when the economy is really good, but as you know, we're not quite in that situation yet. And so there are some steps to the job search process. The first is to know what you want to do. This seems so obvious, but I will say that that's one of the biggest pitfalls that I see students having is that, in fact, I just had an appointment earlier today and she was like, I don't know and I'll do anything. And I hate hearing that because it means that the person didn't research or hasn't researched enough, hasn't explored, hasn't done the self-reflection. There's a great, one of my new favorite sayings now is discover your why. And I think that's what all students need to ultimately do is, what will bring them, to the workplace, what will get them out of bed, what's their reason for being, what's their why. And so a lot of people don't do that. And then they just kind of jump into a job search piecemeally and haphazardly. And it turns out not to be very effective. So the first thing, as English majors, we should all be excellent at this, but the first thing is research. And it takes a great amount of research, but, and even if someone doesn't know what they want to do, even if someone does know what they want to do, research is very important. But there are, on the Career Center's website, we have, what can I do with this major? English is one of the choices there. People can use Indeed and LinkedIn and the Career Center's Handshake to research the kinds of occupations that are out there. They can use the Department of Labor's Occupational Outlook Handbook and ONET. Those are two great resources. There are lots of resources to use. And I mentioned Indeed. People tend to use that as if it's just a fancy newspaper classified. And that's really not the best use for it. It's best used for research. Handshake, like I said, that is what the Career Center uses. It's a platform that we use that lists part-time jobs, internships, full-time jobs, even volunteer situations. You can research occupations. You can use filters to search by industry, by job field. There are lots of different filters. You can research employers with that. So there's a lot of research that first and foremost goes into a good job search, decent job search. It's important to keep good records and make to-do lists, use a calendar to actually mark time off to devote to researching and building connections. That's another really major part of the job search. That's again why it takes so long to do an effective job search. Use an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of not just the information that you're finding in the research, but also the progress that you're making in your contacts. Who did you contact? How did you contact them? What company do they work with? What's their phone number? What's their email? What's their LinkedIn profile? Keeping track of all of this. And when you email a resume to someone, get that date down of that contact so that you'll know, okay, it's been a couple of weeks at the most, maybe I should follow up with that person. So keeping organized is really important because it's easy to feel overwhelmed and to feel like everything's out of control. So if you can organize it and structure that system, have a system there, then that gives you, the job seeker, a lot more sense of control. Research employers. One technique is to start with a list of 10 companies that you would be interested in working for. Again, some people it's like they Google, that's all they can think of. And it's like, do you really want to work there? But research again. You can use LinkedIn to research employers. Indeed has a great tool for using. Handshake, Glassdoor, Vault. There are lots of really good websites to use to explore employers. Make a list of skills that you have and that you want to use in your occupation. Because honestly, people tend to get too hung up on job titles, and instead looking at it from the perspective of what skills would I like to use for this particular company. And then, make a list of those skills and then go back to each one and write an accomplishment story for each. And this is good to actually write out, because not to memorize it, but to kind of get it set in your mind. But so if you have research skills as one, then what you would do with that is to describe the situation in which you used research skills. And then you would describe the task that you were faced with to research. And then the next step is to describe the specific actions that you took step by step, what the process was. And then finally, describe the results of that and quantify the results whenever possible. So if you wrote a manual, don't just say a manual, but say a 15-page manual that went to a company that had 20 employees, or whatever the case is. So quantify your information whenever possible. But again, it goes back to the advantage of English majors is tell a story about each of those skills that you have. And then preparing your job search materials. Obviously, that's a big step, but resumes, cover letters, references, portfolio, online portfolio, mock interviews, practicing those interviews. We have on the Career Center's website, it's a program that's free. It's called Interview Stream, where people can go and just practice their interviewing in the privacy of their own home. It uses a virtual interviewer. And so you can watch the video back and see, how you look on camera. We also have a mock interview event scheduled for April 21st. And that's, at this point, we're planning to have it online and in person. And then, participating in, getting your LinkedIn profile set up. We have another event that is called the JCPenney Suit Up event. And JCPenney basically joins with universities across the country to have this event at different times in different locations. This is going to be online. Last year was the first time that we joined forces with JCPenney, but it's called the Suit Up event, and it gives students the opportunity to log in and basically shop, and they'll get a discount in addition to already discounted prices for business attire, anything that you might need for going on an interview or starting a new job. And so that runs from January 31st to February 5th. And then we also have a speed networking event planned at some point in March or April. That date has not been solidified. The final step I'm going to talk about tonight, I promise, and that is participating in opportunities to meet and talk with alumni and professionals and employers. And so what I want to stress about that is we have Virtual Career Fair Week coming up February 9th through the 12th. We're going to have it's 6 different career fairs that week. So don't talk to me anytime after that. I will be brain dead. But we have, and students can attend any or all of these events. Mm-hmm. So we have a business career fair that is February 9th, marketing, communication, and arts career and networking fair on February 9th also. One's in the morning, one's in the afternoon. Manufacturing, Agriculture, Construction, and Engineering Career Fair on February 10th. Health and Science Career and Networking Fair on February 11th. Social Services, Government, and Nonprofit Organizations Career and Networking Fair on February 11th also. And then the last one will be the Education Career Fair on February 12th. So we also have several virtual career fair preparation workshops planned, the February 2nd, 3rd, and 8th. So all of this is going to be virtual at this point. And to get signed up, it's all free, but you just go into Handshake. Every student has a profile already set up. And one way that you can access it that's really easy to get into Handshake is to go to My Missouri State. Students select the student tab, and then they go, I think it's in the bottom right corner if they're on a desktop or laptop, and it's a career path or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the terminology is, but there's a link to finding jobs and internships. And that when students select that, it will take them directly to Handshake. They can also log in through the Career Center's website for that. But we have a lot planned. We do a lot. We meet individually with students, so if you have any specific questions, any issues that you want to discuss one-on-one, feel free to reach out to me or feel free to go on to Handshake, and you can make an appointment, through Handshake as well. So it's a great tool, and there's a lot that you can do with it.
Thank you, Valerie. You are busy, going to be very busy. But that's nice. That's wonderful resources that are available specifically to arts and letters students, and you being specifically trained in that area. It's so nice, I think, for students. And that really is our last thing we're going to present formally in terms of upcoming opportunities, scholarships. We went through graduate school applications, presentations to conferences, publications with Logos, and then finally getting that job and looking for places to find a job. So I hope to start the semester, we've covered quite a bit of information for you, but check with anyone who is on the panel. Even if we weren't the person presenting, we will contact you and connect you with someone needed. If you have any questions, again, we have recorded the webinar, so it will be available for you on our website to play back and find any information that you're questioning. But please contact any of us with questions that you may have. If there's anything last minute that our presenters want to share, or if you have any questions that you'd like to put in the chat, we would love to take any last minute questions that you might have.
Laurie,
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Madden, so we have a couple questions that I
Okay.
recorded throughout the session, and
Great.
Dr. Madden wanted to ask Dr. Mosier to speak to the Intro to TESOL second block course.
Okay, so Etta, thank you for reminding me to do that. So we have a second block course, and it is Intro to TESOL, and I'm sorry that I neglected to say that. Something happens to me when I'm on Zoom. And we hope you take this opportunity. So to take this course, it's a 1-hour course, and it's with a visiting assistant professor, Dr. Angela Bell. And let me bring up the description of it. So sorry, if you can give me a minute. But
Sure.
It's the first time we're offering this class. And one of the reasons why we decided to offer is we get lots of questions about teaching abroad, teaching English abroad, people who just want a little bit of information. They're interested in the field of linguistics or applied linguistics. And so Dr. Bell volunteered to teach this class. We want it to run. We're excited about it. We think that you'll enjoy her as a teacher, but you'll also get an introduction to a pretty exciting and broad field that has very practical applications. And so Thank you, Dr. Madden, for reminding me, but let's see if I can find the introduction. Okay. And the flyer. So I'll just read this. So it's for students who are interested in learning more about how to teach English learners in K through 12 schools, community colleges, community organizations, and abroad. We oftentimes have students who need some professional development or extra continuing education for their teaching certificate. For students who are interested in pursuing a baccalaureate degree in TESOL or linguistics, and it's a 1 credit hour course. There's going to be discussions from people who are currently teaching in the field. And there's also the opportunity, part of the class is attending a conference. So it's the 2021 TESOL Virtual Convention. And so that'll be your chance to interact with researchers in the field and practitioners in the field. And I will be sending out pretty soon, we'll be sending out the information to all English majors about all the things that we've talked about tonight. Reminders about the scholarship, the resources from the Career Center about this second block class, the 1 hour credit hour class, and also our reading series and our other events that we're having this spring. And so we will send that out to you pretty soon. Thanks.
There are a few questions for Dr. Stanton. So one question is so this is kind of a specific question. Okay, so this student wants to be a graduate assistant, but doesn't graduate with their bachelor's until December 2021. Would this student be able to apply for the spring semester? Or she's asking, should she wait till the following fall? So I think the question is, if you graduate with your bachelor's in the fall semester, can you apply to start to be a graduate assistant in the spring?
And the answer is yes. There's nothing wrong with applying early. Just make that clear. But I think it's helpful to know who is interested. Often we do not have but maybe 1 or 2 positions open in the spring. So be aware of that. But it helps us plan for the entire year if we have you on our radar that you're interested. So yes, you can apply early.
Okay, great. And then so there are 2 more questions. The next one is, where can students find the recorded video about the comprehensive exams?
If you go to Blackboard, in the top right-hand corner, you click on Community, and then there, about in the middle of your page, it's going to be English Department graduate students. So it's not in your list of classes, it's on the Community tab and in about the middle of the page. And then once you get to that page, you click on the word Resources. It's in all caps, and there's a folder there. The calendar is there, and in the calendar there are links out to those resources and forms, the links to forms that you need to fill out as well. Did I answer the question?
I believe so. And yeah, if there's any more confusion, feel free to, I can try to actually maybe just contact that student and tell them to email you if they have any more questions.
That's fine, sure.
And then another question from a graduate student, given COVID, are there opportunities for funding for conference travel?
I don't know the answer to that question. We still have our link up there to apply for travel funding. Are people traveling? I don't know. Dr. Mosier, do you know the answer to that question?
Yes, I do. So if you are traveling or you are presenting at a conference virtually, and there is a registration fee, you may still apply for that that funding to participate. So if you are presenting, whether it's a virtual conference or if it's one that you're actually traveling, you can apply for that. There's department funding, and I believe there is college funding as well, but I will have to double check on that. So if you want to send me a separate email, I will find out the answer to that tomorrow afternoon to make sure. And so, yes, that is a priority. We want our students, just like we want our faculty, to continue presenting their work. And so we will help fund that. And we do know that there are some organizations that are waiving fees, but organizations need money too. And so there may be a registration fee and might need to do a membership fee. But yes, we will be happy to have your application. There is money for funding.
And that application and information about it is also in the English Department Graduate Students Blackboard site. Again, in the resources tab, if you scroll down about halfway down the page, there's a folder called Travel Funding Forms and Information.
It does not help when you're traveling, but in May, if you have traveled, you can notify me, and there may be some travel money that we can give you in May, but we can't give it to you before you travel. And it's only for graduate students traveling to a conference.
Great, thank you all so much. Okay, we have 2 more questions. This question is for Valerie. Is it possible for international students to apply for internships?
Yes, definitely. And you may need to check with the International Student Services Office concerning like OPTs and regulations and things like that, because they seem to change every 10 minutes. But we do have resources for you. Handshake, as I mentioned earlier, is one. Another really good one that I think doesn't get as much publicity as it should is called Going Global. And you can also access Going Global, not just through the Career Center's website, but through My Missouri State, again, in the student tab in that bottom right corner, whatever that's called. And but it's called Going Global. And for international students, what I would recommend is to look for the US, and all the employers listed in that are going to be very open to international students. For anyone can use Going Global if they're interested in international opportunities, whether it's an internship or full-time position. But it's a wonderful resource. You can get all kinds of information about visas, work permits, what it's like living in that area. These are all basically curated by experts who are living in that area and researching. So it's really the most up-to-date information that anyone could possibly get. So for international students, as I said, I would recommend looking at the US employers and the opportunities, because it will list job openings too and internships.
I want to add that depending on your program, your program's requirements in English, there's course credit that you can get that's attached to some internships. So if that's interesting to you, or if that's something that you want to look into, please contact your advisors so we can get you some information about that.
Okay, I was muted. Thank you both so much. Okay, our next question comes actually from our wonderful dean, Dr. Wall, who writes, I often recommend the English minor. Any tips for students who are interested in the English minor?
Anybody want to take this question? Okay, I'll take this question. So the English minor is purposefully very general, and so it gives you a lot of wiggle room. And so there are some students who will do the English minor because they're interested in English and they're interested in exploring. And so they can gather a lot of English credit, and that'll equal your minor. We like to encourage students with careful advising to be very intentional with how they use that minor. And so you can sort of group classes together so they can give you extra training in a particular area. And so, there isn't I'm going to use Jen's class for an example. There isn't a degree in graphic narrative. However, if you're a creative writing major or any other English major or any major, if that is an area that you're interested in, you can use the BS English minor in order to combine those classes to not only get extra training and work in graphic narrative, but to also get an English minor. I didn't explain that very well.
I think it's
And
great.
soon the graphic narrative certificate as well.
Yeah, so there are also a number of undergraduate certificate programs in English that you can do as an add-on to your existing major or minor. But you can also take those courses, and most of them are 12 hours. And if you add an additional 6 hours, you will have a minor in English. So we have already undergraduate certificates in advocacy writing, and also in, Lori, will you help me out? Is that
Yeah,
argument?
it's an advanced argument writing. So if you're
Advanced-
interested in law school and things, yeah.
Okay, so for students who are interested in law school or other, just developing your writing. So we do know that students who have good writing skills and communication skills are employable. We have a professional writing undergraduate certificate. We'll
Right.
soon have one in children's literature, children and young adult literature, and we've got one sort of going through the route on graphic narrative, and also we'll have one on editing and publishing. So those are ways in
Yeah.
which you can use the English minor because of its flexibility to also gain a certificate. And the certificates are useful because it really highlights that you have it'll appear on your transcript, and it really highlights on your transcript a particular concentrated area of study that may not be so apparent in just your your degree. And so it just shows employers, graduate schools, that you've done extra work and not always extra work, but concentrated work in a particular area. Thank you for the question, Dr. Wall.
Yeah.
Can I put a plug in for something really quickly while we're talking about programs? Dr. Stanton mentioned opportunities to apply for graduate school. And sometimes I have conversations with students who say, well, I would be interested in going to Missouri State for graduate school, but I don't want to live in Springfield anymore. I want to go back to wherever I came from, or I want to live my life somewhere else. I do want to put a plug in for our entirely online master's program, MA in writing with an emphasis in technical and professional writing. So you can complete all requirements for your master's degree remotely. And we're one of the few MA programs on campus where you can do that. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear to everybody, because not everybody knows about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions, Jen? Anything else coming through?
No, I think we got them all.
We got
Thank
them
you
all.
all
That's
so much.
great. That's great. Well, thank you all for joining us. And I hope, and I can't imagine there's much information left to share, but we hope to give you, have been able to give you a lot of information on applying, scholarships, publications, and we'll close with, we're very proud of all of you and your work. So go out and show it to other people and get money to continue in school, right? So we hope to see you in another town hall very soon. And if there are things that you would be interested in us covering in a town hall, we are very open to suggestions, and we'd be happy to cover what you're interested in. Okay, so I think we'll all say goodbye and have a wonderful spring semester. Thank you.